looking at fitness to practice. Fitness to practice is, are you fit to go into placement, sit with the client and be able to handle the material that they bring? And of course, tutors within the colleges need to assess your fitness to be able to say, yes, okay, go into that practice. And you need to go through a number of processes to be able to do that. Rory, can you speak us through the different processes one might face?
Yes, well, I think it's a great testament to how counsellors and tutors specifically are viewed by our colleagues who run charitable institutions or even the NHS, because they ask us as a tutor to send a letter of comfort to them to say that the person we're sending to them, or I used to send to them, is capable of working therapeutically, at least at the level they're training at, with clients. And a fitness to practice letter is effectively a letter that you give to your placement to give them the comfort that they're taking on someone who's competent. And to get that fitness to practice letter, as you rightly say, Ken, students have to jump through hoops. And one of those hoops really is about observation of skills. We don't expect, or I didn't expect, students who are going into the first placement to be mature, seasoned therapists. Everybody has to start somewhere. But what we did expect was a minimum standard that students could abide to. So an understanding of confidentiality, an understanding of the law to some extent. I seem to remember doing the law quiz quite often. And also the ability to use counselling skills appropriately. And that was usually observed. It was usually myself and another tutor. We'd observe them and then we would give them feedback. And not everybody got a fitness to practice letter off the bat. Some were said, look, you're not going to have to go away and have a think about your skills. They were given feedback and then they would come back and try again. And the key thing about the fitness to practice letter, it is a letter that can be terminated. So once that letter is issued, it's only live as long as the student is working within the confines, if you like, of the course. If somebody goes native or decides that they're going to do something else or give advice, or many years ago I did have someone who was studying, or thought they were studying what they called Jungarian therapy. I had to point out it's Jungian. When we investigated it, it was they got a book called Teach Yourself Jungian Therapy. Not really good if you're a person-centered course, so regretfully we had to take some action there. But yeah, it is about making sure that the placement gets a person who's competent, but really it's about making sure clients get the best service, because everything we do is in service of the client, Ken.
100%. And the fitness to practice also requires that you evidence your membership to your ethical body. So here in the UK, generally in colleges, that would be the BACP student division. And you would need to show that you have that card, and you need to evidence as you submit for that card that you are on a course and that you meet the criteria. There is disclosure if there are any past issues that may come up in the future that you need to make while getting that membership. And you would also need to hold insurance to be able to go into practice. And all of this will be looked at when it comes to that fitness to practice. But I do know, and I see this on our Facebook group, that the fitness to practice observed skills brings up a lot of anxiety. So either that would be done in observation, where, as Rory described, the tutor might look and see what it is you're doing, but it can also be done via submitted tapes, where the tapes would be listened to kind of gauge where you're at, how you're using the skills, how you're reflecting back. And as Rory said, that you're meeting those minimum requirements to go into practice, that you will go out and do no harm, I think is a good way of putting that. You're not going to kind of give advice and stop practicing Jungarian.
Yes, indeed. And also make it, part of the fitness to practice letter is the part in the ethical framework that says that people exercise self-care. I think that that's really important. It's a holistic thing. It's about clients. Yes, it's about making sure that tutors send out competent people into the world, but it's also about making sure that, if a student is having a really difficult time and they're struggling and they're not maybe accepting observation from the tutor, maybe come out of practice for a little bit and get yourself together, then it is ultimately a sanction where you can phone up a placement and say, I'm afraid we've had to revoke the fitness to practice letter. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but it's all part of tutors overseeing good practice, and I think it's essential.
Yeah, and I guess it just points to that there is a triangular contract in place when you go into placement, certainly here in the UK, where the triangle is the placement itself. They're going to have their policies, procedures within the organization. You then have the college or the learning institution or the university who issued that fitness to practice. They are part of that triangulation. And also in a good course, you will be having professional discussion where you may be taking elements of practice, discussing that with peers in a supervisor, in a tutor supervised environment, I might say, not just chatting about your client material. And you have, of course, on the other side of that triangle, your supervisor who will monitor your clinical practice and who will also be working with your learning institution and be overseeing your work within your organization. So there are shareholders, I guess, in your journey when you are in placement. So a couple of references or links that I might share with you are, one is we have a 3-step skills blueprint. It's an article I wrote some time ago, and it's about when you have to kind of do a skills session and you're either being watched or taped. So I'll put a link in there, so that might be helpful for you. It's about how the anxiety can come up and how you might work with that within that moment, because it can be very nerve-wracking. I've certainly spoke to supervisees who've mentioned that, you know, when they do their regular skills sessions, simulated skills sessions, they're fine. But as soon as a tutor is there, they stutter, they stammer, they can't get the words out, they don't seem to be able to get it right. So that skills blueprint may be useful for you. And then another article that we have on our site, which is very popular, and I'll put a link into today's show notes, is First Counselling Session. It's about that first time that you are face-to-face with a client. It's about how you prepare, what's going on in you. It's a really informed article, and that may be useful for you if you are in the process of planning going into your placement, because it's that time of year. We're hitting the nail at the time it needs hitting, Rory. I don't know that's a saying. I think I'm making that up by taking a few sayings and patching them together here.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, I think you've coined a new phrase, Ken. You know, and I was just kind of, when you were talking now, I was just drifting off a little bit, because I remember one of the things about our fit when I taught at the Warrington Collegiate, one of the things we did at Fitness to Practice was when someone got their fitness to practice letter. So they do the skills one week, we'd tell them if they'd passed, and then the next week they'd have their letter. And we used to have a mini graduation.
Yes.
People used to come to the front and get the letter, and because it was a rite of passage, it was a marker to say, look, you know, this is important stuff here, and you've passed and you're off into the world. And it showed the other people in the group there was something to aspire to, that it was a profession they're in. It was a serious endeavour they're undertaking.
Agreed. And it's something to celebrate. When you get your fitness to practice, it's that yes moment as you continue your learning. And it's interesting when, you know, on so many courses, you're going to be, you've still got a year of study left when you get that fitness to practice, at least a year of study left, but you're going to be, the study changes slightly. You're in practice, you're in placement, and it moves to your clients teaching you so much. It's such an enriching time. It's where the rubber meets the road, Rory.
Oh, what a wonderful phrase it is. It's the reality of it, and you know, fitness to practice letters, I think it's something to be celebrated, really, because it's really a landmark in a counselling journey. Once you have that letter, you're effectively been told that your tutor has confidence in you to go out and sit in front of a client. Big step to be given that confidence from your tutor, because your tutor will be someone more experienced and someone who is really making sure, or should be making sure, that you are on the way to becoming a qualified practitioner.